I'm going to put on my serious glasses here as I become my avatar, because we are moving into the land of the Roblox developer. I actually can't see anything with these on, so I'm going to take them off. But I am very excited to introduce this next panel. Each year we've kind of started a new tradition here where we try to bring up some developers who worked on very diverse projects, who have different styles of developing on Roblox, bring them up here and answer some of your questions. So we have a handful of questions from online, but we will definitely get time to do live Q&A with the folks here. So if you've got questions for the engineers, feel free to step outside quietly while the rest of us move forward with this. So without further ado, let's meet the folks coming up here. I'd like to bring up first the man, the myth, the meme. Looks like Jackson's coming up, so we're going with BioStream. All right, welcome. Your mic is waiting. All right, coming up next, we've got the man you may know as Z Kevin, but to us, he's just Kevin. Come on down, Kevin's not 7. All right, now, the man who can tear out games faster than a speeding bullet. Welcome to the stage, Henry Dev. Come on down, Henry. And finally, he's flew across a large pond to get here. Let's welcome to the stage, Vincent Silent Swords. Right, we encourage you to promote your games any way possible. All right, so we got a couple questions from the folks at home. We're going to go through it. Probably just pick out a couple questions for you all down the line. If at any time you don't want to answer the question, then don't answer it. They can figure it out later. And we once again, we'll have time for questions here. So if you get any burning questions for our developers, go ahead and line up and we'll get to those a little later. But all right, let's start with a good one here. Who are we going for? All right, BioStream. This one's for you.
I'm ready.
What was the inspiration behind creating Hexaria?
Ooh,
yeah.
So this is like my origin story.
Yeah. How'd you get here? Tell us.
So, did any of you cats play Wizard 101 when you were a little kid? Yeah. It was a great game. Wizard 101, if you don't know, is a card battle game, a lot like Hexaria, except there is no movement. So one day I was in Roblox Studio, and I don't know, I guess I made a hexagon, and I was like, wait a minute. I can put more of these next to each other, and there's no space in between. So I made this hexagon grid, and I thought this would be pretty cool to use some battle mechanics that I'm familiar with, like card-based battle, and I put it on my hexagons, and it was really, really cool. And it started out, there's some old pictures in the archive of my absolutely terrible programmer art way back in the day. The first ever, the first card set that I made was Roblox brick battle items. So you could use a super ball on people, and it would actually like knock them off of the map and break the game. It would break the game every time. So that was cool. But yeah, Wizard 101 was a big inspiration, and some old RTS games with hexagons. Just kind of, it was the perfect match. Yeah.
Great, cool. As we're going through these questions, I want to remind you guys as well, feel free to introduce yourself, tell them how long you've been on the platform for. I realize not everyone might know every developer. I mean, you guys might all know every developer. I don't know how small the family is, but just as we're going through this, feel free to. So we're going to jump across over to Silent Swords there for this next question.
Cool.
And you may be able to guess what game we're going to be talking about. How does Q Clash stand out from the competition?
Well, right, so Q Clash, so it turns out because we spend a lot of years right now trying to really create this experience that will really like raise the bar for Roblox and create this like sort of like AAA level style game on Roblox.
I want to emphasize years is the time frame he's talking about here.
Yeah, actual years. Like I think we're up to like 2.5 years now.
I think you presented it as an accelerator project 2.5 years ago when we're going to build a AAA game on Roblox.
Yeah, that's literally how I ended.
Yeah.
I think I ended up my accelerator with less of a game than I actually started with. And it was
yeah, we went backwards.
And that was my presentation. Like I just have no game. I'm sorry. No, but yeah, no. Just like we were a very heavily character-driven game, and we really want to emphasize on like the gameplay, the maps, the everything really. We have voice acting, we have music, audio.
You have professional voice actors?
Yeah, we have paid voice actors. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a full cast. So yeah, no, we're such big fans of like the whole FPS genre that we just want to we just want to get it right. We just want to make a game we think is fun and want others to play. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. All right, Henry Dev, here's one for you.
What's up?
All right, here we go. What's this? Oh, we'll start with this one. All right, this is a fun one. How long did it take you to build Treasure Hunt Simulator?
This is kind of funny. It took about 4 days, the first initial version. Do they mean like develop the whole game?
Tell the story a little bit.
The whole game
Feel free
took
to
around like a week
interpret.
or so. The building took a couple days to do.
Well, then I'm going to just follow up with this immediate next question. Are you ever going to update Treasure Hunt Simulator?
Probably, yeah.
How many days
I'm in
will
the
the update
accelerator
take?
program, so it's kind of hard to do with our schedule. But yeah, on the weekends I work on it sometimes, and I'm like about halfway through an update right now. So
Oh, cool. So one is coming. Be ready. Treasure continues. All right. Mr. Kevin, how you feeling today? Good,
Doing
good.
all right.
Good. All right. You've got some actually long and really drilling questions. Hope you're ready. Here's a three-parter. We might break this one up a little bit, so we'll start from the first here. What is the greatest challenge creating an adventure game on Roblox?
That's making a game in general, I think.
Yeah?
It takes forever doing it yourself. It took me a really long time to just make everything bit by bit. And in hindsight, I probably should have hired, somebody, but I never ended up doing that.
That's how we learn.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going with this question a little bit. It's a couple parter, but they're good. How do you encourage players to be social in a game that is essentially single player? I think we're talking about Robot 64 here, by the way.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to give credits to 2 Blocks to Quit, wherever he is. He was really pounding on my neck to make that game social throughout the beginning of the program, and I decided to go with
But friendly. No,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
a really basic method of let's add a silly dance.
Yeah. Do you think it worked?
It did, and I also had a hub world where everyone could interact with each other. So it's an adventure game, so everyone's going to be all over the place. So the hub world really helped to connect everyone in just a central place where they could party and whatnot.
Cool. Awesome. Great answer. Thank you. All right, let's jump back over to BioStream. And let's keep with the Hex area questions. I'll try to group your games together, and then we'll move on to some of your other projects. When making Hex area, did the whole hexagon tile mechanic ever become a limiting factor in your creative process? Wow.
I don't really have a creative process. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
It's just something you pretend as an artist.
So I think
Don't mind me, I'm just kicking waters.
Right on, man. So I don't think the hexagons were limiting at all. I think it was actually a really creative move because you don't see a lot of games out there that try to mix this mechanic with many other ones, as happens in Hexaria. So I think it actually enabled for a lot more exciting gameplay. So for those of you that did play Wizard 101, there was no movement at all. But now we've added area into our combat, which enables AoE, attacks and abilities, all kinds of other movement and moving other people, and there's a lot more gameplay that can take place because you've added these hexagons in there. So I don't think it was a limiting factor at all. I think it actually provoked a lot more creativity than otherwise would have been possible.
Great. Cool. All right, jumping back over to Silent Swords. As you know, we got Q-Clash questions. Here's a short one.
Great.
Will Q-Clash Q-Clash, there we go, ever become free?
Well, yeah, obviously that's been the plan from the beginning. So yeah, no, we've been 1,000 Robux for a long time, but it was just to keep players from playing it because we were like, no, please don't play our game. It's not done yet. And now we're 60 Robux, so now we're inviting a few more players just to come play our game and share their experiences. Yeah, we want to go free pretty soon, so that's we want to enable everyone to play on PC. We want to go to Xbox pretty soon, and then hopefully also mobile. So yeah.
Cool, great. All right, let's keep up with the game questions before we move on. Z Kevin, talking about robots. How different is Robot 64 from early production to release? What will the future hold for Robot 64?
So a lot of the development of Robot 64 was just making a lot of content. I initially had the movement and all the things that you do in the game in 2 months. That was super easy to do. And then I had to make a game, which, that was I learned a lot about game design just from Googling it and whatnot. Just throughout, yeah. Just throughout making the levels that are in the game right now.
Great, cool. And you built Robot 64 all by yourself, correct?
Yes, but I got to shout out some of my friends here who gave me a lot of help.
Hey, friends. Great. And I know you did composing the music and everything too, right?
Yeah,
That's
pretty much
awesome.
everything.
That's very awesome. Cool. All right. Henry Dev, how's it going?
Hello.
How you
Good.
feeling? Good,
Good.
good. We got some big questions here. Okay. What is your primary strategy for making a game that people will want to come back to for more? I guess that word is trying to say retention?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say make something that players can like do over and over. For mine, it was digging. Something that they can progress up and get better. Like in mine, you buy better shovels, better tools, and it allows you to like have an advantage over other players. I think really when players compare each other's stats, they want to beat their friends and stuff like that. So having something like that, like a level progression system.
Progression systems, competition. Yeah. Cool. Great stuff. All right. Let's just jump around over back to Silent Swords, huh? We've got some creative process questions here.
Okay.
Before you start developing a game, is there any specific plan of action that you have beforehand in order to brainstorm, get ideas, and get the workflow started?
Yeah, probably. Let's see.
It's a very casual conversation.
Yeah, no, that's a broad question. So, the first question is what kind of game am I making? That's very basic.
Yeah.
Why am I making it? Do I have fun playing my own game, or do I have fun developing it? I think that's very important. What's the scope of my game? Is it realistic? You don't want to make your game too big, like I did 2.5 years ago. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
Cool. Great. So we got a couple more questions up here, but I want to remind folks at this time we have an open mic in the middle of the room with our lovely Kelly there, who will be getting your questions. If you have any questions, feel free to stand up, walk over, form a single file line, and we will answer your questions. So whatever you got, these fine folks will answer them. But while we keep moving here, Jackson, let's jump back over to you here.
Right on.
So we're actually going to move away from Hexaria for this question. Well, that's only half true. What was the workflow like working on the Ready Player One event in Hexaria with so much secrecy? Did you come up with the riddles? How did it work? They just want to know a little more about the process.
Oh, yes, that's a good question. The Ready Player One event was one of the most fun things I have ever done in my life. The process, so the way it worked was all the challenges were drafted up by me and Crikey over there. Shout out to Crikey. Woo, thanks guys. So we drafted all the challenges. There was not any input from the movie people, if that's the question. It was all us, and then we ran it by Deepak, and he approved and tweaked some things here and there. But yeah, we drew up all the ideas and came up with weird things that happened. And we weren't able to see the movie before it released. So I didn't know how it was going to be different from the book. So I based kind of all of my challenges off of what happened in the book. I don't know how many of you read that, but it's really, really 80s pop culture. And so I tried to incorporate a lot of that. I thought it was really, really funny, really neat stuff. The secrecy was challenging.
Yeah.
Editing permissions for groups were a little hard to work around there because you have things that only 2 people in the world are allowed to know. But there are several people that have access to edit them, so you kind of have to make sure you put them somewhere else that people don't have access to. That was an interesting challenge to work around, and having to lie to people is never fun. When they say, "What is this?" It says Crystal Key. I'm like, "Oh, that's photoshopped." But it's not photoshopped. That was a big issue. So, it was really fun. It was a great workflow. After we kind of figured out and got settled in on how to do things without revealing other things to people, but that was good stuff.
It was good. It was fun. Cool. Great. There we go. Hey, Jackson, while I got you here,
Oh yeah, man.
the learning question. What did the Hexaria project teach you, and how does it impact your future projects?
So, what this taught me was you have to find what works for you. So Kevin over here makes games all by himself. I love Kevin. Kevin makes amazing games all by himself, and that obviously works for him. So me personally, I am not good at a lot of things, so I can't do things by myself. And I get really, really energized by seeing other people's creations and being able to integrate them all into a product that incorporates a lot of different work from different people and creating something that's more than just the sum of its parts. And so I learned from building a project with this team that's what works for me. I need to be in a big group of people and actively collaborate on something that is going to be awesome, and that's definitely going to be my MO moving forward. Is that doing stuff with other people is more fun than doing stuff with just Jackson.
Great. Teamwork and friendship. All right, very good. All right, so I got one more question for each of you guys up here before we move on to the audience questions. Henry Dev.
Hello.
Hello. You've worked on a lot of projects.
I have,
You have. What strategy do you use to create lots of games? Any tips for developers out there trying to hasten their development time?
Yeah, I would say make a lot of core scripts for your game, so ones that you can use over and over. Usually I use data store scripts a lot, are the same on a lot of my places. So things like that you can use over and over on multiple games.
Great, cool. Silent Swords. Why did you rebrand your group/company, and what was the reasoning behind it?
Right, no, that's a good question. So we were SO Games before, and that was back when we were just with two of us, Owen and I. And I guess we just wanted to kind of just kind of revitalize ourselves, since we're 4 people now, and we just wanted to rebrand to visualize that. So we went to a name called Duck Armor. And,
what is the new name?
Duck Armor.
What inspired the new name? Where'd it come from?
Nothing. We just had a brainstorming session, and we were like, ducks and armor. It was chicken armor first, but then we were like, ducks are cooler, so we'll just go with ducks. So yeah, and it also has a dot at the end, so it's very artsy. So that's pretty cool.
Good.
But yeah, no, we just wanted to show off that we're new. SO Games also stood for Silent Swords and Owen. Mm-hmm. If anyone ever knew that, and that didn't really make sense, which you were 4 people. It would have been like Sogi Games or something, and we don't really like the sound of that. So yeah.
I always thought it was just so games. But that
games.
makes more sense.
Yeah, that was
all right. Great,
yeah.
Cool. Moving along. We have one more question for Z. Kevin. As a scripter, builder, composer, do you consider yourself a Renaissance dev of the Roblox world? It's a good one. How do you feel about your status in the Renaissance of Roblox?
Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, we're going to do it one more time. As a scripter, builder, and composer, do you consider yourself a Renaissance dev of the Roblox world?
I never said I do that, but sure.
Yeah, someone new. You got fans out there.
How do I feel about it? I mean, I don't know. I just do things all by myself, really. It's not a huge deal. For me, I mean, I guess it is for you guys. Maybe.
Those are awesome. Awesome. See Kevin, everyone. Love that guy. So much talent. All right, guys, thanks so much. That concludes the online section, so we are going to move out to the Wild West and get some questions. The hard mode begins. All right, Kelly, we're ready.
My name is Isaac the Pooper, and I have a specific question for Silent Swords.
Hi, how are you?
When you were making your Q Clash game, I just played it one time, and I was really impressed by the sound design. Did you guys create the sound all from scratch?
No. It's kind of funny because all the sounds are kind of like programmer sounds, because our programmer just kind of does it in his spare time. It's like if he doesn't have anything else to do, it's like he'll just make some sounds. So no, actually, I think we just use some free services now. It's something we want to do later, but no, for now we just use a lot of free sounds. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Cool.
Hello, I am RusherM110, and my question is for Silent Swords.
Hi.
So Q Clash, it's coming along impressively.
Thank you.
It looks like the quality of it and the polish of it looks like a AAA game. My question for you is, when you're creating things such as, the networking of the bullets, shooting players and responsiveness of the network and things like that, is there an efficient workflow or strategy that you use to make the polish of a AAA game and whatnot?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to games like this, it's just a lot of iteration, right? So it took us like 2.5 years. If you see the first version of Q Clash, it was actually based off an older engine of a previous game we made. And it didn't run very well at all. I mean, it was pretty bad, and the visuals were all over the place, and the effects were non-existent, and everything was just bad. But you just keep reiterating over and over again, and you just find points to improve. And you even get better. Well, I mean, rewrote the game a couple of times just to make sure that it runs well. We're at a point now where we can say that it runs pretty smoothly for pretty much every computer. So yeah, it just takes a lot of redos, especially the more complex, the more redos you're gonna have. I mean, it's pretty fair to say, but in most cases, you're never gonna do it right the first try, and you shouldn't feel bad if you don't do it right the first try. Just keep going. Just keep doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Great answer.
Yes, I'm Minyo22, and my question is for Z. Kevin. Will Todd the Turnip ever make a cameo in Robot 64 in a possible future update?
Funny you should ask that. He actually is in Robot 64.
I gotta play it more. I'm not the best at platformers, unfortunately.
It's a bit of a secret, so if you're really curious, you can look it
But
up.
on a more serious question for all the devs, what was the most difficult aspect about developing each of your respective games? Was it the modeling of the assets or from texture creation?
We are running out of time here, so maybe 2 people if want to talk on this one. We'll try to get 2 answers.
For me, I have to say texturing is my biggest flaw. That's all I have to really say.
Yeah, mine's probably building. A lot of my game is free models, but they work.
All right, that was pretty quick. We'll get the other 2. You can throw in if you want.
I mean, I guess modeling, right? I'm the map designer, so and actually all of our maps are actually kind of lacking in texture, so it's pretty easy for me to answer. It's modeling.
Hello, I am Spectroxis, and I have a question for QClash. So I played your game, and I found myself constantly losing wherever I am. Do you ever plan on adding a line of sort, like a neon red line, to find where you're going?
Actually, that's a good question. It's something we definitely looked into. So we're trying to make it easier for new players to find what you're doing, basically, because the maps are pretty big and they have a lot of corners and everything, and we totally understand you can get lost. That's all very understood. Before a round starts, there's actually lines on the floor that tell you in your color whether you're defending or attacking, that leads you to the respective points or the payload that you go to. It might be that the round, the pre-round is so fast that you haven't seen it yet. That's possible. There's also blips on the map that tell you there's little points that point you toward the objectives, and they also stick to the corners. So if you ever look for those, you should be able to find your objective, I hope.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ma_Bucket, and this is a question for any of you. What was your first game idea, and what became of it?
Good one.
First game idea, made game?
Yeah.
So the very first game I made was in 2007, about 11 years ago, and basically what I wanted to do as a 12-year-old boy was create this sort of lava park, because I found out in free models there's this lava model, and I thought it was really cool. And I made this Doomspire that I got out of free models, and I was like, this is cool, and it ended up being 6,000 parts. And back in 2007, 6,000 parts was this was going to crash your Roblox instantly. So then I lost the file, and I got really upset for a while, and then I came back a month later. That's my story.
Yeah, so my first idea was basically an obstacle course. So I took the old Happy Home in Robloxia from 2008, and I just started editing with it, using the tools in build mode and trying to make an obstacle course. I think I added some zombies and lava, like he said. Yeah, it's pretty good.
My first game idea was this game called Find the Magic Orb, and you would find the magic orb.
Thank you.
Classic. Kevin.
Mine wasn't really a game, but I thought it was at the time. It was just a part that you could touch, and then it would say "Happy Birthday."
Awesome.
That was all of it. That was
All right,
it.
and this is a question for Kevin.
Oh, we got a double header here. All right.
Can you nerf the sun?
What's up?
Can you nerf the sun?
Nerf it.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Never mind.
All right. Looks like we got 2 more questions left here from the audience.
Okay, my name is FM Trick. I have a question for Henry Dev. What was your inspiration for Treasure Hunt Simulator? Any particular games or anything like that? Snow shoveling simulator?
Yeah, definitely Snow Shoveling Simulator a little.
Okay.
Also, a lot of the old mining games like the Quarry and Epic Mining.
Cool.
Those are some of my favorite games.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. And one more question.
All right. Hi, I'm Crazy Blocks. I have a question for Kevin, and it's specifically about, you mentioned earlier about creating music, composing it yourself. Really got my curiosity. What is your creative process, and what do you draw inspiration from, and are there any tips you could give in regards to that?
In regards to all asset creation?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, mostly I just kind of rip from Nintendo, not gonna lie. But as for music and whatnot, I don't know. I'm self-taught for the most part, so a lot of what I know is just kind of messing around a lot.
a lot of experimentation.
That's literally the worst advice I could give you, but that's what I did.
So much for the Switch partnership. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. That concludes the developer panel for today.